We have had an unbelievable amount of requests to cover XDC. Now, fundamentally, I'm not very clued up on what this project does. It is one of the ISO 20022 cryptos, and we know that all financial institutions are going to have to adopt those standards by the end of this year. So that bodes very well for cryptos that are ISO compliant, and XDC is, of course, one of them. It's partnered with some absolute giants, but we're no fundamental expert. What we're going to do is we're going to reach out, and we already have, to some individuals that are far more clued up than I am. I'm sure some of you that are in the XDC community already know them. So do become a subscriber and look out for those interviews. What I can do, though, is talk about XDC from a price point of view. And there's a couple of interesting things that I'm looking at. First of all, we can give you a price prediction. Actually, this was a price prediction I had given to my patrons in one of our Wednesday meetings. But even in regards to the pullback that we're currently seeing in the cryptocurrency space, what XDC is doing is brilliant. And it's essentially initiated a double bottom pattern that is ultimately going to see it, in my opinion, run to 46 cents. It's currently at 10, so that's over a 4x. And it's also now in phase 2, which is an uptrend, giving us further confidence to the direction it's going. And we'll show you a couple of charts to sort of compare it to in regards to the journey it's about to embark on. And we shall also show you that actually this is a historically good pattern for XDC, given the fact that the last time it pumped all the way to 19 cents from literally sub-cents, it did the exact same thing that it's doing today. So we've got a really interesting video lined up. It's going to be a short and sweet one. First of all, broadly, XDC is a smart contract platform. It's a layer 1 smart contract platform. It boasts some pretty impressive stats from a fee point of view, 0 fees, instant confirmation, so finality. And from an economic point of view, it is pretty impressive. And it also has 2,000 transactions per second, plus not the highest. I'll need to look into the roadmap to see if there's any solutions for that. One thing that they, of course, are highlighting, they have API documentation, which is interesting. So we're talking about some sort of perhaps Oracle. And it is ISO 20022 compliant. Now, every bank is going to have to adopt, and this is coming from the financial players like Swift, et cetera, they're all going to have to adopt these standards. And that bodes very well for your ISO or ISO coins, and XDC happens to be one of them. And you can see some of the partnerships that they have down here. So I'm sure there's a lot we're missing. I just kind of wanted to go over things broadly, and we'll get people on the show to talk to us more fundamentally about it, because you guys are obviously very interested. It is also a very small coin. It currently sits at $1.5 billion in terms of market cap, and that is post move. And again, we're saying this is likely going to the 5-6 billion in terms of a market cap. So let's talk about price. Now, we're going to use the Bitfinex chart, and with today's crash, you can see the kind of candle that we had very bought up. I just want to, had a lot of people asking me about this. This has everything to do with Bitfinex as an exchange, not where it actually traded. And this is due to low liquidity. This is due to the fact that it's not a very high volume coin, and order books would have really struggled with some of the price action that we've seen today on the back end of course, DeepSeek, and what that meant for the stock market, and the kind of knock-on effect that's had on us here at the cryptocurrency space. But you'll notice straight away we already have this drawn. I drew this a while ago in my Patreons. This is a double bottom and a potential scenario that we were looking out for that is now playing out. Now, this is also a phase 1 base, an accumulative phase, as Wyckoff would have looked at it. And you're now in phase 2, which is an uptrend. And we have two things already that point us in that upward direction. A double bottom target that takes you from your current price of 10 cents to 46 cents. And you also have the fact that we know how markets move, and this is very phase 2S. Just to show you some examples, this is New York Times company. You can see markets moving in these 4 phases. This was a double bottom. You broke and that target was met. And of course, it will also, and the double bottom also formed around phase 1. A break of that led to phase 2 and that uptrend. So you had two confluencing things that helped us sort of get the New York Times company right. Also semiconductors, you can see very double bottom-esque. Breakout, made its target, came back and pulled back before phase 2 continued. And another one is Samsara. Just to give you a couple of examples of double bottoms that we've looked at, we've also overlaid some phase analysis on here. And from that perspective, XDC actually looks rather good. And when we compare that to the backdrop of what we're expecting for the cryptocurrency space, it looks even better. So our price prediction for XDC today, and we'll see what sets up from now until then, is 56 cents. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be its bull market high, But that's certainly where I have technical merit for it going to thus far. And we have multiple things that suggest it's actually going to go and do rather well. And when you take a key level, you often want to see that key level taken on volume. And that's indeed what we've seen, really signifying not just the breakout into phase 2, but also this double bottom pattern. And I want to just show you historically the fact that XDC likes to sort of do this pattern. And the last time that it did a pattern like this, you could maybe look at this as a bit of an inverse head and shoulders, with this being a puny left shoulder, this being a head, and this being a bit of a complex right shoulder. But the last time it did something like this, it actually went from cents of cents, which doesn't really make sense, fractions of a cent, all the way to, certainly on the taking of this neckline, you know, it didn't 83x. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen today. Remember, we're only predicting technically based on merit that we have a kind of 4-5x. But what I do think is going to happen is you're going to make this target and then actually see continuation to the upside. This is a very kind of prominent pattern for XDC, and it's unfortunate we have to use the Bitfinex chart given that kind of spike, which of course I think has everything to do with just the exchange being very sort of low volume and low liquid. You can see it's not present on other charts out there like crypto, for example. You can just see this double bottom, but the Bitfinex chart is the longest one that we have. I think it's also quite a good thing that actually XDC isn't listed on all your main exchanges. That is likely still to come. Maybe they've done that deliberately. Projects that have something spectacular fundamentally going on, often they won't advertise, often they won't push to the bigger exchanges simply because they don't need to. So really, to summarize, our price prediction for XDC is based on this double bottom. And we also get further confidence into what phase it's in. And that takes us to 46 cents. And I actually think it's going to continue higher than that. But that's just my own technical take. Always do your own due diligence, guys. I do think this could be a project to watch moving forwards. And we'll keep you up to date as our price prediction plays out. We look for this scenario. It's now happening. Ultimately, I think you're going to see that continuation. And it's very common when you take a key level of significance that you come back and retest it before seeing that continuation. And that is what you're doing on this pullback that is, of course, caused by DeepSeek and having ramifications in the crypto space broadly. So that's it from me, guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. It's always an absolute pleasure. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Stay tuned for more XDC content and us having some interviews in and around it. I'm going to love and leave you guys. Thanks for watching. See you soon.